Everyone, this is your host, your friend, your boy, Jet Black, the one and only, here with another exciting video. I just got out of the shower and I got some topics that you guys might be interested in checking out. Go into the description box below to click on the different links of the topics that I'll be discussing here. So, a new Batman animated series has been announced. We don't really know a lot of information about it. We know that Matt Reeves, J.J. Abrams, and Bruce Timm are all going to be involved, and that the animated series will likely be on HBO Max and Cartoon Network. We have seen some artwork from this new animated series, and it looks like Batman's going to be wearing his old school first appearance Batman outfit, or at least an outfit inspired by it. And has the weird curved bat shaped ears, which I'm not a big fan of, but hey, to each their own. What do you guys think of the design? Let me know in our Discord and in the comment section below. Oh, speaking of Batman, Batman and Snake Eyes are apparently evenly matched. In case you guys don't know who Snake Eyes is, he's the mute all black wearing ninja of G.I. Joe. And apparently, Batman and Snake Eyes face off in the new Batman Fortnite comic, which I haven't been keeping up with. But I heard a little bit about it. There's a comic book resource article about it. I also saw a little bit about it on Twitter. Speaking of Twitter, make sure to check out my Twitter, also in the description box below. There you can tell me about like new stuff that's going on that you want me to do a video on. And also if you guys want to see like previews of some of these topics ahead of time, I like to retweet some of these topics that I talk about in these videos. But I think it's kind of interesting that Batman and Snake Eyes are supposedly evenly matched. I personally don't agree with that assessment, but I've never power scaled Snake Eyes to know if Snake Eyes is on the same level of Batman. Definitely let me know if any of you guys happen to be like diehard G.I. Joe fans or Snake Eyes fans. And also let me know what your thoughts are on the new trailer for the Snake Eyes movie that's come out. Oh, the movie isn't out, but the trailer's out. But yeah, next up, speaking of animated series being announced, there's a new Superman animated series that's being announced. It's going to be called My Adventures with Superman. There's another show that we believe is going to be on HBO Max and Cartoon Network, and it seems to focus on Superman becoming Superman, Lois Lane becoming a reporter, and Jimmy Olsen becoming a photographer, and their relationships with each other. It's supposedly a coming of age series where each of them are growing into their roles as well as growing into their friendships. Lois has actually been trending on Twitter in part because of this series. So I think that's pretty interesting. Also, my apologies, I had a yawn. Next up, speaking of DC Comics stuff, because I'm a big DC Comics nerd, DC Comics Round Robin is in its finals, and people don't seem to be very happy about it. So, in case you guys missed another video that I did talking about the DC Comics Round Robin, essentially, DC Comics decided to do a tournament bracket for ideas for future comic storylines, where fans got to vote on which story ideas made it further in the tournament. This has been going on for a while, but we're finally in the finals, and the two books that are competing to be made is a Robins book that is going to focus on Batman's different Robins and them having a mysterious encounter with the first Robin, which apparently isn't Dick Grayson. So that sounds a little spicy. And then a Suicide Squad book called Suicide Squad 7, which I honestly don't remember a lot about. Both of these books were books that I personally didn't find particularly interesting when I read about their initial premise. And looking at comments on Twitter, it seems like a lot of people seem kind of dissatisfied by how this bracket went. Um, I've heard that the books that are currently in the finals didn't necessarily do well in all of the polls because the polls are held on DC Universe, which is a DC Universe website where you're able to read a whole bunch of cool comics, but you need to pay like a subscription in order to get on. There's also a poll on Twitter, and there's apparently a poll on Instagram, which I didn't know. And apparently, the Instagram poll kind of dwarfs all the other ones. So if a book loses on DC Universe and it loses on Twitter, it can still win on Instagram. And people feel weird about it because they're like, well, aren't the DC fans all on like DC Universe, like the hardcore fans and stuff like that? Like blah 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 blah. Or the people who are voting on Instagram, are they even like real comic fans? Blah 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 blah. There's a lot of discussion like that going on Twitter. I just hope that whatever book wins is a book that everyone enjoys. If you ask me personally how I felt about like the books that are in the finals, shruggable. I think the Robins one sounds interesting. I don't even remember the Suicide Squad one. I just remember when I did my previous DC Round Robin video, when I was reading through all of them, the Suicide Squad one didn't really stick out to me too much. So I don't even remember that one for real. And I don't think the Robbins one was necessarily the best one in the list, in my personal opinion. Next up, so this one's kind of weird. All the other ones we've talked about so far have been like within the realm of nerd news, and this one kind of is because it has to do with robots, but it's not the kind of robot news you'd expect. So there are people in their 40s who were in a polyamorous relationship with a sex robot. This robot apparently cost them $5,000 and is programmed with a personality that's set by the man that is in the relationship, and speaks with a Scottish accent. Apparently, they don't just have the robot for pleasure, they actually feel like they're in like a legitimate relationship with the robot, as a member of the relationship, and they actually take the robot around with them in a wheelchair wherever they go. And the robot can talk to them. It has like a conversational AI. So they have like discussions with the robot, they hang out with the robot. They even claim that they take the robot to work. The reason why I added this is because I think this is an interesting concept. Let me know in the comments section below and on our Discord or on our Twitter if you think stuff like this is going to become more common in the future. That people are going to build these interpersonal relationships with robots that are beyond just like what the robot was made for, where it becomes like their friend and they hang out with it and they bring it around in public. Because we're talking about like a life size, like android robot that can't necessarily walk, but it can talk. And they seem to apparently love the robot. And I find that to be an interesting topic. And as someone who's really into like sentient AI and stuff like that, this is definitely the kind of thing that piques my interest whenever I hear about stuff like this. Next up, another bit of weird news, weird real life news. There's a video that's going around of what seems to be a like woman yelling at a man for what seems to be like a racist reason. The woman isn't entirely intelligible. I don't understand like what she's trying to say. And there's a certain part of the video where the woman admits that she has some kind of mental health issue. The thing that stuck out to a lot of people, though, isn't necessarily like the racist part of it, but the fact that she throws a puppy at the man and she like chucks the puppy like really hard. The puppy hits the man and freaks out, but then kind of like runs up to the man like like he seems like scared or whatever. He doesn't really like the woman, and the man just kind of takes the puppy and goes, you've shown that you're like a bad dog owner. My dog now, kind of situation. Really weird. If you guys want to know more about it, feel free to check out a link to the video. I have it in the description box below. Next up, jumping back into DC animated news, Injustice is getting an animated movie adaptation. So, in case you guys aren't aware of what Injustice is, it's essentially a storyline that's actually quite popular that takes place in a parallel universe where Superman essentially has lost it. He's like, all criminals deserve like capital punishment kind of thing, and he's willing to like kill anyone who doesn't like step in line. And Batman has come up with like a hero resistance in order to fight back against like the reign of Superman and the heroes who have rallied behind him. There are tons and tons and tons and tons of Injustice-based media that exist already. We have two Injustice video games, multiple different Injustice comic book series, excuse me, merchandise and toys and stuff like that. But now we're going to get an animated movie for Injustice. So I would love to hear you guys' thoughts on that if you guys are hyped for that. Next up, we got some Marvel news. Hey, you guys probably thought this was going to be all DC news. But for the Marvel news, there's going to be a Tokusatsu style Avengers series coming out this summer. Now, this is going to be a comic series. And in case you guys don't know what Tokusatsu is, Tokusatsu is a specific genre of Japanese media that things like Power Rangers and Godzilla and Ultraman come from. So if you're familiar with properties like that, they're essentially going to be telling a kind of Avengers style story within that genre. So I find that to be extremely interesting. It sounds like they're going to be telling an Iron Avengers kind of story where each of the Avengers are going to get their own like suit of Iron Man style armor, which makes me think it might go in like a Power Rangers style direction. But if the armor suits are like giant mech suits, it may be more of like a Godzilla battle kind of direction. But that would be a little bit weird since there's a book going on right now called Marvel Mech Strike or something, or Avengers Mech Strike, and it's essentially that same premise where everybody gets like mech suits or whatever. So that's interesting, I guess. I like Tokusatsu stuff, so I feel like I'll probably check it out. But then again, I haven't checked out Mech Strike yet, so maybe I'll check it out after I check out Mech Strike. Let me know your thoughts on it in the comment section below. Next up, more Marvel news. A new character has taken the mantle of Darkhawk in Marvel Comics in a brand new series. If you guys were to ask me who Darkhawk was before today, I wouldn't have been able to tell you anything. I have no idea who that guy is. But after reading a little bit about Darkhawk, apparently he's like a 17-year-old basketball player who finds his mind able to like switch bodies with an android, and he acts as a superhero. The premise sounds interesting. I honestly do like the design of Darkhawk, and I might give the book a shot. Who knows? I'm not a big Marvel guy. I'm definitely more of a DC guy. But are you a big Darkhawk fan? Like, let me know. Like, if you guys would be interested in me looking into Darkhawk and doing like a Darkhawk video. Next up, and this is the last bit of news I have. This is the 10th topic. So far we've gone over like 9 topics. There's some cool DC hero mods for GTA 5. I saw a video pop up in my Twitter feed that was talking about like all these different DC superhero mods you can get for GTA 5, where you can essentially play as a DC superhero wreaking havoc across like the world of GTA 5. Graphically, these mods do look pretty good, not gonna lie. At least some of them do. But I would say that I think it's weird that you're playing as DC superheroes, but then the main thing you do with the mod is run around and like wreak havoc and like kill people. I think a super villain mod would actually be pretty cool because I feel like it would fit more with what you're actually doing with the characters. But hey, those are all the topics. Definitely make sure you check them out in the description box below and let me know if I should do more videos like this in the future. Peace, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Check it about.